Greetings everyone, this is Wolf BaziL. I'd like to show you Wolf's KVK, share some secrets and tell you how to earn 2 billion points in Solar. There is no mistake, I mean it when I say we earned it, because obviously to get such a result in Solar is always a team effort. Here are stats before KVK, stats after KVK. If you wish, you can compare how many troops I had before and how many left after, how many troops killed and how many healed. I can say that about 90 million of my troops were killed, mostly T1, and over 10 million T4 troops were killed too. And now it's time to leave the mystery iron curtain and tell you how can anyone actually get 2 billion points in KVK. And no, Super Tashi is wrong. It's not camp kills, not tiles, although tile hits could be very pleasant at times. You must be very well prepared to get 2 billion points, 110%. You must put together a perfect team that will scout map for targets and you must solo rally traps. It can be done on your own, or in a team of 2 or 3 if you can find anyone as crazy to join your team. First you break the wall, then you check the troops line up with range of half. This target was on infantry phalanx. We hesitated to zero him at first, because it's a pretty fat castle with a return from fort, and a high chance that he is still online. But we decided to take a risk and proceed. First of all, because risk is a noble cause. Second of all, is that target was in a monster gear. And third of all, with our team, any 700 million might castle can be zeroed in about 5 minutes, which is precisely what happened here. Let's take a look. First goal to solo a rally trap is to knock off front line. Infantry died pretty fast, so further with Cuba and full smile we began to rip him with range. The damage and my drop became massive, so I made a decision to switch gear and talents to range and go burn him in solo with lead. Because surely he wasn't going to cap my range hit, and yeah, he got knocked out from the Wonder Forest. The target had over 5.7 million troops left, and now the mission is to find the target on the map before his guild does or before he gets back online. This next target is very different from the one before. 340 million might, in war gear, nice army setup, only 11 million troops, but he was much stronger than previous fat Chinese. This target is on range phalanx. In range phalanx we first go with range troops, because on big targets infantry dissolve before they even make it to the front line. Overall, infantry phalanx is the easiest to zero. Cavalry phalanx is easy at first, but very strong when only infantry and range troops left. Cav wedge is the easiest of them all, but we never ran into such a nice present before. And now let's watch the burn to zero of this trap. To further add to what we have been said before, I confirm again that range phalanx is very tough. But since the target isn't very big and doesn't have that many troops and not that many range troops, we decided to test attacks with no leader going infantry T4 plus T2. I don't have T1 infantry for this KVK. I built T1 range and T1 cavalry, because in order to zero significantly big castles only T1 range and cav have been used. Infantry was being used as a reserved option, which is what happened here, and indeed the might drop from infantry is doubled. The might drop after my leaderless cav attack into infantry castle is between 1 to 3 million might. If I hit with ranged into cav phalanx, it's usually about 1 to 5 million might drop. Against this target the might drop was only 3 to 400k with range and about 6 to 700 with infantry. This was very tough burn to zero, but we knew that as soon as the range troops are dead, the rest will be butter. Hey, thought this was a 3-man assault on this body, and when he started to barely drop might, we realized that it's time to go solo cavalry to finish him off, and he was burned to zero. We could probably start to go in solo about 10-15 hits sooner, but if you want to achieve good KVK result, you try to not risk losing your leader, and only go when you are most certain your leader won't be captured. This button fire, let's check. He has just a bit over 1.5 million troops. Indeed, we could have started solo with leader much sooner. What else can I say? Guys, girls, sleep on a range phalanx, and surely nobody will have a burning desire to solo burn you. This next target was super difficult. War gear and 924 million might. This guy was standing on the Wonder Forest for a long time, and as with previous targets, he has anti-scout on. First, as usual, we have to check his lineup after destroying his wall with siege, of course. And then based on his troops lineup, we will decide if it's worth the risk to jump the sleeping Chinese tiger and maybe even online trapping Chinese tiger to see if it's possible for us to do anything with him. Going with siege to break the wall on bigger castles, I am taking instead 90 t4 and 60 t1 siege versus typical 60 and 40. Going with ranged troops, he barely drops might, very small drop. Looks like it's a tough lineup as range or infantry. And yes, in front of us is an infantry phalanx lineup. Barely over 100k might drop. The final decision is made. Let's zero him. And here Chinese max my drop numbers are going higher and higher, and we understand that we are about to start hitting his cavalry. The most pleasant feeling is when you start hitting cavalry and feel that at any moment you are about to get your delicious gift and start killing his t4 horses. We remain confident and positive. We begin to bring down his might at about 5 to 7 million per hit. WolfBaziL has barely any army left, and he is helping us out with resources and providing us with the moral support at this point, while Cuba and I continue to burn him. As you can see, I barely have any food or stone left. There is always a lack of these two resources comparing to all others, because range and cavalry both use food and stone. What do we see now? To our Chinese D'Artagnan Max, reinforcements have arrived. His brothers, the Musketeers, they have arrived because his courts were posted in global. Maybe someone knocked on the board and one by one they came to help him out, and one by one they can start to send him rains. For us this is critical, because we go with range into calf leaderless, and even if they throw him only 200k infantry, it would mean that we have to hit him twice with calf. Because each hit will not kill more than 100k, and after we have to go back to hitting him with range again. The third musketeer has arrived. We understand that they start to wake up and we barely have any time left. We discuss this over in Discord and decide that if we won't be killing any calf, which is what we are testing right now, we decide that it's time to rally him. A rally of course will be range, because our Miracle Boy's infantry troops are gone. He has some cavalry left, but not much. I changed my leader. Previously, I was using Wolf hero which is not being used in regular battalions. And here comes our rally. Boom! He is on fire. There might not be great losers for him, but I want to remind you that he is in war gear and he had about 3 million fish T4 at the beginning. Now we all try to find his castle on map. One of his guildmates sent rains him by accident and returned, but seeing that arrow was enough for us to find him and we know there are only ranged left. So we have to go solo with infantry. Someone starts to send him rains, we realize that everything got to be done fast. Unfortunately, I didn't make it to get the grid hits, but what's most important is that our guys finished him off and got the points. Any rain that's sent to him will only bring a smile to us. Nobody risked to send him garrison to try and cap one of our leads. I want to remind again that this target is on war gear, infantry lineup, 924 million might. Let's look what he had and what's left. Meanwhile, Max has almost minus half a billion might. Thank you all, and until we meet again. To be continued in next part.